Hello viewers, welcome to my channel Dr. Shom's English class. In today's video, we are going to discuss Louis Althusser and his essay Ideology and Ideological State Apparatuses in brief. Althusser's ideas are wide and varied, and the essay encompasses many ideas. We are not going for a detailed discussion here. This video is meant for a quick look at the basic concepts that the essay has talked about. Let's start. Louis Althusser was a French Marxist philosopher. So in order to understand his essay, we need to first know certain basic ideas of Marxism in general, and after that we'll focus on the concepts that he has specially brought into the arena of Marxism and the ideas that he has focused more. Althusser is a structuralist Marxist. Structuralism, put in a nutshell, is a school of thought that tries to place a particular phenomenon within a larger structure and then try to understand it. Because this school believes that nothing has any meaning in isolation. We get the meaning of a particular phenomenon only when we put it in a larger structure, only when we look at that phenomenon as a part of a larger structure. Althusser has done the same with some basic Marxist concepts. He has reformulated some fundamental Marxist concepts and has tried to give some theoretical basis to them. Now, before we come to the essay, Ideology and Ideological State Apparatuses, we need to know or refresh our knowledge about these key concepts that he has used in his essay. You can note them down, they'll come handy later on. Because in Marxism, we talk about the economic value of things. That is one of the major concepts in Marxism. So when we will use the word production in this video and later on as well, we will mean the production of economic value. So let us take a quick look at those concepts that I said are going to be important. Concept number 1, means of production. Means of production refers to different ways of production. It refers to the things that are needed for the production of economic value other than the labor force. Labor force is also one of the things that is needed for the production of economic value. But then when we talk about the means of production, we talk about all of the things other than the labor force. Things like raw material, machineries, tools, lands, infrastructure, natural resources, etc. Concept number 2, productive force. Productive force refers to means of production plus labor force. The labor force that we excluded in the previous point, means of production, is included here. And means of production combined with labor force is called productive force. Concept number 3, relation of production. Relation of production refers to relationship among different factors of production. It can be a relation between those who have the means of production of economic value and those who do not have, that is the bourgeois and the proletariat. It can be a relation between the employer and the employee. It can be a relation between the employee and the product. It can be a relation between the employer and the product, and so on and so forth. That was relation of production. Concept number 4, mode of production. Mode of production refers to the condition in which a product is produced. A product of economic value is produced, like a capitalist condition or a tributary condition, a feudal condition. It can be any other condition, but it is a condition in which this production is possible. Concept number 5, condition of production. Condition of production refers to the kind of condition we need in order to continue the production. Like the demographic condition, it can be social condition, anything that is needed to keep the process going on. For example, a sense of hierarchy between the producer and the labor can be one of the things that is important when it comes to continuing this system of production. In brief, these are the 5 major concepts that are used in this essay and that are also the basic concepts of some of the basic concepts of Marxism. I'll just repeat them once again. Means of production, productive force, relation of production, mode of production, and condition of production. Now, what Karl Marx has said is that the condition of production needs to be maintained as it is in order to continue the production. That is what Karl Marx has said. And here comes Althusser's point. Althusser says you cannot maintain something unless you keep reproducing that thing. Nothing remains as it is forever. We actually have to keep reproducing it. Only then it will remain the way it is now. Otherwise, it will not. So, in Althusser's essay, he has basically talked about this process of continuing different aspects of production, and by continuing different aspects of production, he has actually talked about processes of reproducing those aspects of production. Because Althusser believes without continuously reproducing something, you cannot ensure that that thing will go on. So, in this system, he has talked about 2 major things. One, productive force, and the other, relation of production. That means he is going to talk about the way productive force and relation of production is going to continue. That means the way productive force and relation of production can be constantly reproduced. Because, I repeat, without reproducing, we cannot continue. So, the first thing that he has talked about in his essay is productive force. Now, let us see what he has said about continuation of productive force, that means reproduction of productive force. Now, we know there are 2 aspects in productive force. One is the means of production and the other one is the labor force. So, we will look at these 2 things separately. First, the means of production. How do we continue the means of production? In that sense, Althusser has talked about and has given a lot of emphasis on the concept of chain. There is a chain of dependence. We can understand it in this way. He has given an example of capitalist X who has a factory, who produces anything, that's something that has an economic value. But other than those things that he produces, there are many other things that he uses in his factory, like his machines or other such things that he needs in order to produce what he produces. And those things, if we focus our attention on those things that he does not produce but he uses in the process of producing his things, whatever he produces, we will know that those things also need to be reproduced. When you use the machinery for long, they get devalued. They have an expiry date as well, right? So the ex-capitalist has to maintain the production of those machinery. How can he do that? He does not produce them. So in order for him to be able to continue doing his production, he will have to ensure the maintenance or also the supply of those tools of production that he uses. And those tools he does not produce. Those tools are produced by another capitalist, for example, capitalist Y. So capitalist X has to depend on the capitalist Y for the continued supply of the machinery that he needs in order to produce the things that he produces. Now coming to capitalist Y, he produces those things in his factory, and in order to produce those things in his factory, he too needs different machinery, different tools. Those are the things that he himself does not produce. and he needs to buy them to get them from another capitalist, suppose capitalist Z. So there is a chain among capitalist X, capitalist Y and capitalist Z when it comes to continuation of the productive force, especially the means of production. It is done through reproduction of the means of production, and that is done in a chain system. Now coming to the second part of the productive force, that is the labor force. We also have to talk about how the labor force is also continued. That means capitalist X or Y or Z need to have that steady supply of labor, and how that is ensured. There, Althusser has talked about and has given a lot of emphasis on the idea of proper wage. The wage of a laborer has to be high enough so that it motivates the laborers and more laborers to come and join his service, and it has to be low enough so that the laborers cannot leave the job in near future. They cannot save up enough money to leave the job in near future. This way we can continue the labor force, the steady supply of labor force. So when it comes to the continuation of productive force, we have seen that these are the two aspects of it. One is the means and the other one is the labor. Now coming to the other part of it, the continuation of the relation of production. Now, this, according to Althusser, is produced by the state apparatuses. And he has said the state apparatus has two aspects. One, repressive state apparatus. Two, ideological state apparatus. Repressive state apparatus refers to the legal system, police, court, prison, or other such government systems, and ideological state apparatus refers to the morals and ethics predominant in a system, in a society. Both repressive and ideological apparatuses are controlled by ruling ideology or the ideological discourse. Repressive apparatus is violent in nature and ideological apparatus is not violent in nature, but they both are controlled by the same ideological discourse. And this thing works through different institutions like educational institutions, religious institutions, family or cultural institutions, media, etc. In this part of the essay, Althusser has talked about the characteristic features of ideology in general. He has given a few points. Point number one, he has said that ideology is not connected to history, in the sense history maintains the change of regime, but the state apparatuses continue to work. He says ideology A may be replaced by ideology B, but the system of ideological control continues. Point number two that he has given, he has said ideology has a material existence. Though this is an abstract concept, but it also has a material aspect of it. We can see it physically in the form of various institutions, in the form of the manifestation of various power. Point number three, he has said ideology makes a ruler-subject division. And last but not the least, he has said, Althusser has said that ideology does something which he calls interpellation. Interpellation is the process of creating identity through cultural values, through internalization of those values. And these interpellations he has talked about, they can create and break different aspects of ideologies. It can both recognize and misrecognize different aspects of it. It is with this idea that the essay comes to end. As I mentioned in the beginning, this is an essay that deals with a wide range of ideas. So this discussion is in no way a comprehensive discussion of this essay, but this was a quick look at the text and the ideas that Althusser has talked about. We'll come again in future with many other such quick discussions about other such theories. Thank you so much.